Hello, it's the Way Show. My name is Wole. It's so nice to be with you today. Merry Christmas. Hope you had a fun Christmas, despite all the that's happening around the world, especially the world of COVID we are in at the moment. Hope you had a very nice Christmas. Hope you had a nice Boxing Day. For us here in England, we've got substitute Boxing Day tomorrow, so it's bank holiday tomorrow. So hope you got what you wanted for Christmas, and hopefully we celebrate many more, as time in the future. So it's the Way Show, and it's nice to be with you again today. So first time subscribing, please, if it's the first time you're watching us, make sure you do subscribe to our show. Yeah. And obviously check out our previous videos, our previous editions, like them, and if you can, please tell someone about us, subscribe on the show, watch our previous editions. Okay, today I've got someone very interesting, someone very special. Someone who is an award-winning person, who is a film director and a producer, who is someone who I promise you is going to be interesting as we talk along. Okay, his name is Marc Adebesin. It's so nice for you, Marc, to join us today. Thank you so much, Marc. How are you doing today, brother?
Not bad. A bit chilly out there, but yeah, overall we're all good.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, man.
Compliments of the season.
Okay, so well, today we're just going to be talking everything Nollywood. Okay, and before I start, Lani Lee is dropped in to say Merry Christmas, guy. Lani, thank you so much for Merry Christmas to you first and foremost. Thank you for joining us on the show a few weeks ago, a month, and I hope you're enjoying the Christmas. Okay, so stay tuned, Lani, and watch us drill Marc today as we talk about Nollywood. Okay, so Marc,
yes,
for people watching us today, okay, we'll probably seeing this space for the first time. They've probably seen the name, behind some exciting movie production, and they probably haven't seen this space before. Tell us who's Marc Adebesin, and why is he into movies?
Well, my mom used to write stories back in the days, when filmmaking was allegedly supposed to be making money, but she said, she wasn't making enough money. So I found myself a couple of years back, I used to attend loads of movie premieres here in UK, and I really wasn't satisfied with some of the quality of what I saw. That was coming out of UK, and I challenged people who are not my colleagues at the time that, come on, you can do better. And 90% of the time, the guys I call my colleagues now in UK would say, Marc, go and do your own. I keep saying, to be honest, I would classify myself a unique and creative individual, and if I do a movie, it will be better than what I just saw. And there's a lot of banter and argument, and I said, because I've always wanted to be a filmmaker from, I think, since back in the days of my secondary school days. But it wasn't something I ever thought I would have the time and the opportunity to pull through. But I found myself being able to leverage on my position in the entertainment space to do that now. And that's why I've been able to, in the last 3 years, I think I've been able to produce 7 films and direct 3 so far.
And your first movie, Tied Up,
yep,
was not just a movie; it was your first movie, and it went on to win awards. Okay, for a first timer directing a movie of that
No,
might.
that was produced by me. I produced that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
somebody else directed that.
Okay, sorry. You're producing that movie. It was
Yeah,
the first production, and it went on
correct.
to win awards. Okay, how was that? I mean, I tend to. I know you've been. You said just now that you've been at the backside, probably on the sideline watching what people have been doing, and you've been like, guys, you need to improve, and bam, your first production, awards. How was it like for you?
I would say it was a welcome it was a welcomed opportunity for me, because you always have to prepare yourself when an opportunity comes your way. If you do not prepare, the opportunity will come, and that opportunity would go. Um, so for me, it was something I really wasn't expecting, or should I say, when the film was produced, it wasn't the aim of the film. Um, Apparently, I wanted to shoot a feature film, and I went to go and meet a colleague of mine. He said, "Why don't we try and do a short film first?" And that's how Tied Up was put to birth. And the experiences that I and the lessons learned I had on that film was what propelled me to create my first feature film, which went on to be nominated 49 times, and we think we scooped about 21 awards for that one. A film that had a theatrical release in Nigeria called Talking Dolls. So the experience on that was very unique. It was very different because we had to fly in some AMVCA winner, lead male, and AMVCA lead female from Nigeria in the name of Belinda Effa and Daniel K. Daniel from Nigeria to come and grace the screen for Talking Dolls. So it was financially challenging. It had its because we shot in the month of November, which is, you and I would agree, is an extremely cold
Mm,
time of the year to be
yeah.
shooting. It had loads of challenges, but we scaled through and we were able to complete that. So that in its own right became a springboard for me to shoot other films like The Accidental Spy, The Three Kings, Hustle, Sam James. So I've done my share bit, so to speak, and considering the fact that it's not something I do full time, it's something I do pretty much in a whole year. I pretty much spend an average of 2 to 3 hours on Nollywood stuff on a daily basis, either on phone calls, in Zoom meetings, on a daily basis till whenever I shoot. I'm supposed to be in Nigeria in the month of March. I should be in January, but because of COVID, and I heard the numbers are spiking in Nigeria, so
Mm.
we need to put a break on that and reanalyze the situation and say, is it safe to travel? Is it safe to bring different people together, including ourselves? Is it safe? Because your health and your safety is paramount and it's key.
Hmm. Lani just said you are a very hard taskmaster. As a director, as a
Well,
director, do you need
no, I
to
think
be that? Do you need to be that as a director to get what you want at some point?
yes and no. It depends on what you're shooting, who you want to satisfy, what your
Mm.
target audience is. Because I have a filmmaker who will tell you, oh, configure YouTube shooter, can shoot a lorry mobile phone, and they're satisfied. There's a lady who directed a film for a friend of mine about 3 weeks ago in Nigeria, and they said they needed they wanted me to shoot 3 scenes for them. So my friend linked me up. It was a 3-way call on WhatsApp. And I said, okay, do you have a script? She said, oh, I'm like, okay. And she did the alaye, so-called alaye. She explained, and I said, okay, so who's paying me if I, go down the route of shooting this? Yeah, I got a mobile phone, shoot there now. So you need to understand that there are different categories of people that needs to be satisfied. You've got your YouTube people, you've got your Netflix, you've got your Amazon, you've got your cinema audience. So I've seen people condemn people who shoot for cinema, people who shoot for YouTube, people who shoot for Netflix. So it's wrong. For me, there's a particular Yoruba film that if I tell you what the name of the Yoruba film, you'll be like, how could I love that? But it was a film that made me laugh. So you look at the typical Nigerian audience, they want to laugh. They want to, for example, if I'm a comedian like AY and I do a show, it will be sold out. I find it very easy to sell tickets in Nigeria. If I now want to shoot a film for the same audience, they are most likely going to say, let me go and watch comedy. Because your typical Nigerian is stressed out. You don't want him to go into the cinema and start thinking, did Wole kill Mark? Did Mark kill Wole? Was Lani the girl in between both of them? And they don't have time for that because of where they are right now in Nigeria. They want to laugh. And I understand why the paradigm is still like that for the Nigerian audience. You've got films like Omogeto. You've got films like Alakada. Those films are clean out. They're making millions. Now, you could put those type of films side by side with other films like Soldier Story. You put them side by side with Wedding Party, or let me look at King of Boys as a typical example. That is a serious film. You know, and that's like 1 in a million serious film that was shot that became a blockbuster. Majority of serious films don't necessarily make millions the way they do. But if it's a comedy, if it's a rom-com flies, because once you understand your audience, and the funny thing is, not all of us who produce and direct films can be shooting comedy. Because that time will come when comedy is not the in thing in Nigeria. For example, you could shoot a film, I could shoot a film. My film might, funny enough, be able to stand the test of time. Yours might not, because comedy could be in different categories and different classes. You could have comedy that is only relevant for the nation of today. Typical example, you make a comedy and the jokes around Buhari. The next 10 years, it will not have the same impact. So we need to be mindful. And all of us as film producers or directors cannot afford to only shoot rom-com. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. If you go on Netflix at the moment, you'll find out that majority of the films on Netflix are not rom-coms. You've got quite a number of serious films on Netflix. So different audiences, different types of filmmakers. So there's a lot of balance, you know, because you've got different audiences for different platforms.
Having said that now, all you've said now, what do you specifically look for in a script that will probably be like, oh man, I need to direct that or I need to produce that?
I think the first thing I look for is the story. And because for me, your script is your blueprint. If your blueprint is not tight, you would end up shooting a film, and because your film is only as good as your script, you know, and then the production value comes into play. So your production value is what you can use to carry the film. Sometimes you can use the popularity of the cast you use in your film to carry the film. But for me as a filmmaker, I think the script is very important as a baseline. Once the storyline is good, and then you can get a good scriptwriter who can interpret those into dialogues, it helps. I'll give you a typical example. There's a film I'm planning to shoot later on in the year. And, you know, I ran the story by Lani, and Lani said she would actually love to take a stab at writing that story. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why she said I'm a hard taskmaster, because you know, we've had quite a number of iterations on the story and on the script itself. And one thing I love about someone like Lani is the fact that she would wake up the next morning and send me a text, you know, 9, 10 a.m. saying, oh, I had a light bulb moment. And I think the COVID break that everybody has had in filmmaking has helped us redefine the whole script, the story. We're trying to make it tighter, because for me, you can always try to improve your story until the day you say action on the first day. Always try and improve your story. Always try and improve your blueprint. It can only get better whenever you tweak and you enhance the story or the script itself.
Let me take you back to Talking Dolls.
Okay, sir.
You spoke about all the challenges you had bringing people here, and everything, and obviously the code and whatever. But came out 2017, if I'm very correct.
Yeah.
and it was in theaters and it was sold out.
Yeah.
For you, what was the selling point? What was the message
Um,
that you were able to connect with people and it was sold out at that point?
well, I think I've heard comments of people saying I am a better producer than I am a director. I don't know why they say that, but
Wow.
I pride myself when it comes to being able to promote a product or a service. Um, and I think there were loads of lessons learned, financial lessons, strategic lessons that was learned when I shot the film, because I found out after shooting a film in Nigeria that it's cheaper to shoot in Nigeria. If Talking Doors was shot in Nigeria, it would have probably cost me half what it cost me. So I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, and I think for everything, every time you go on a set and shoot a film, especially if you're good and a creative person who challenge yourself, you would always say, "Oh, I could have done it better. I could have done it better. I could have done it better." You can always do a film better. If you shoot a film and you don't ask yourself, "Oh, what could I have done to have enhanced to make the experience better for the viewers?" Because the viewers are the most important thing. You could shoot a film that you say, I mean, especially for new filmmakers, I've found out they would tell you my story is lit. It's the best story in the world. And when you try to bring them down to earth, they disagree. So being able to play the diplomatic individual and being able to align yourself and say, okay, are you making a commercial correct decision? If you go ahead and shoot this film, what will be the gratification of your financial ROI, your return on investment? So there's a lot of checks and balances. I'm not yet on the level where I'll just pick up the phone and say, "Oh, Wole, come and sponsor this film. Yomi, come and sponsor this film." You have to keep building bit by bit, brick by brick, and there's still a lot I need to achieve in the industry, and there's a lot I'm trying to contribute. Also learning with every single film that I work on, and with the cast I work with, because you've got different types of cast, and the way and manner in which you relate to cast A is got to be different from the way you relate to cast B and C, because they are unique and different individuals, and what you want them to deliver is obviously different. There are certain types of cast that you could talk to them individually. You don't have to put both of them in the same room because you want a particular type of synergy. And if you think certain things will work in a specific way, you could say, okay, let me bring both of them together. So there are different directing styles to things like that.
Thank you. You've talked about casting, and I want to share my experience with you.
Okay.
My foray into Nollywood back in the days, and it was at St. Finbar's College. I went for a casting with my friend.
Sorry, I'm a Tiberian.
Yeah, Tiberian.
I'm a Tiberian, yes, sir.
Up school. I went Finbar's too myself. Up school.
Okay.
For everybody watching, don't worry. We will just see to all of you later. So it was. I think I was in I think I was after Jam, and
Okay.
went for this casting with Kate Shaw's brother, who was a friend of mine at St. Finbar's College. They did this casting at St. Finbar's College, and obviously I didn't make it. Long story short, and that was the end of my Nollywood dream. Okay, because I felt I am good now. I did you whatever.
Yeah.
What do directors, what do people look out for when you're casting? I know you said if some casting, you probably want to talk to one person, one actor at a time, or probably talk to them in a group or whatever. What do people look out for, especially when you're casting for any movie?
Now, there's a synergy between, like I said, who are the film you're producing or directing? Who is your target audience? Is it an Amazon film? Is it a cinema story? I'll use a scenario. Let's assume you're trying to cast for a cinema story. You shouldn't just look for a good cast. You need to look for a good cast who is also popular enough to help carry the story. And the reason is because you need to ask yourself, when your typical Nigerian walks into the cinema, there are two types of audience in this scenario I'm painting. I get to Nigeria today. I go to like I carry a 22-year-old girl or 23-year-old girl and say, let's go and watch the cinema. While I'm driving out to the cinema, the first scenario is that individual will get on social media and quickly browse and say which films are on display. That individual will watch the trailers before we get to the cinema. So if your trailer is not good enough, and they don't see popular cast that they want to see, they won't watch it. They will most likely pick the one that has got popular cast like Funke Akindele's, Tonya Imaku's, and the likes, as an example. Now, I go and carry a 40-year-old woman in a house. I say, let's go and watch a film together. She wants to watch people like Odunlade because she can relate more with them. She might not be somebody who has a rock or a Roku subscription where she is in tune with new Nollywood people. And you've got some people who also go to YouTube. They would most likely look at just posters on the YouTube link for the film. Forget the title of the film. They see Odunlade there, they click, they want to watch. So you need to understand how the human brain works. The individual who walks in, the 40-year-old woman who I use in this scenario, I go and pick her up for home. I say, let's go and watch a film. We get to the cinema. She looks at the poster. She's going to look for popular faces. So if you end up choosing strategically and you choose a popular cast, a typical example, Yawero, you choose someone like her, Jide Kosoko, people are going to relate to those kind of cast. But if you choose somebody who's extremely good, but is not popular, that face will not trigger something in the user experience when they see it. So if that connection is not there, you would find yourself as a producer losing money. And we're in a game where you have to invest 10 naira, you want to at least be able to make your 10 naira back. So because it's supposed to be an industry that's supposed to be sustainable for you going forward. So when you are casting, look for somebody who is, if you want to make your money back, someone who fits the role, somebody who's popular enough, and somebody who will be able to be fit for purpose for the promotion of the film itself. Because all those things are popular. You could cast somebody who could give you problems. I've heard stories of cast that you would get on set and give them their outfit, and they'll tell you, "Oh, I won't wear that dress unless it's new." So you could find yourself with those kind of cast as well, and being able to handle those kind of problems are also is a skill on its own, because you will come across challenging cast. That's the truth.
Talking about this casting, there's some movies you watch, and obviously they will have and I forgot the name of this movie now. Just went off my head. It has Otedola's daughter in there.
Citation by Kunle Afolayan.
Yes, by Kunle Afolayan. It was on Netflix, and thoroughly enjoyed that movie. And you see Otedola's daughter, who is obviously an unknown in Nollywood. I doubt if she's done anything before. She's there. But she's casted along people like Iniedo and obviously Kunle Afolayan and the likes, and it became big, massive. I mean, people look at it and like, that's that she did well. People say, wow, she did well. So in that scenario, I mean, looking at the analogy you just made now, in that scenario, what was the message? Is it also okay to cast a well-known face, very well-known face, Iniedo, for example, and an unknown?
Yeah, it's a good strategy, and I'll tell you, I'm facing the same challenge now. There's a film I'm supposed to be going to Nigeria with a friend to direct, and we are facing that same challenge now. We've got a supporting and a lead role, and the challenge right now is we need somebody who is popular for at least one of the role, but they must also be fit for the role. If they are not fit for purpose, it's never going to work. It's just never going to work. I've had people who have seen Citation and they said, "Oh, film Tomo Tedola." They don't say because they can't remember the name. I mean, you're a typical example.
Yeah,
you don't remember the name, but you could remember Otedola's daughter was there. I mean, if you watch some Hollywood films back in the days, you would see people like DMX. You would see people like Tyrese. before they now went on to do Fast and Furious and all that. So
Yeah.
there's the reason why people do certain things in the industry, and this question, the best individual, for this particular scenario to answer that question will be Kunle himself.
Yeah.
Because is his vision, and his vision. A lot of people love the film. A lot of people love the film. The feedback I've got from the film has been very, very positive, to be honest.
Yeah,
and I think they shot it in Cape Verde, they shot it in Nigeria, and I think one of the African countries. I can't remember.
I think they went to Korea Island. Yeah.
It's that type of film. I've never had that kind of finance to shoot that kind of film.
Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
Maybe we'll get a financier in this program.
Maybe you get Dangote.
Yes, maybe. So the strategy has to be right. For example, when he shot the film, he must have said, "Okay, I'm shooting this strictly for Netflix."
Yeah.
It's always good when you identify your audience. Who am I shooting for? Is the first thing. And when you shoot for that platform, you need to ask yourself, will I make my money back? It's important, because if you don't make your money back, it's not good. It's not a business then. If it's not making money, it's not worth making. I'm sorry. 90% of the time, it's always good when you create a content that you can sell. The disadvantage we have in Nollywood at the moment is we have very few places you can sell your product or your content to. You've got cinema. If it's nice, if you either do cinema, you do Iroko, you do Ibaka, you do African Magic, and maybe some VOD, some video on demand platforms, and that's it. So distribution for our content, I think, for me personally, is still the biggest challenge we're facing in the industry till date. I think contents generally are still not. I think people can still afford to sell their films for a higher value, but because we don't have many people buying, we can't up the price we sell the product. So you have to be very strategic when you cast. Kunle must have had his own strategy why he did what he did. If you look at the fact that he used somebody from a francophone country, he used the other Ghanaian guy, and then he used Gabriel Afolayan and one or two other Nigerian actors. So it was good synergy. When you do a film like that, it's always good when you introduce a brand new face. So I think it was a strategy that worked for Kunle. I mean, with all due respect, it worked for him.
Good. So, Mark, we're going to go on a short break now. Guys, if you're watching us, it's still the Way Show. My name is Wole, and talking to the director himself, award-winning director Marc Adebesin. So far, it's been interesting. So we're going to go on a quick break and come back and obviously touch on some other stuff. Okay? Stay tuned. Don't go away. Don't go away.
Right. Thank you.
Hi there, it's Wole again, and it's the Way Show Weekly on the YouTube Live. And I have been chatting to Marc Adebesin, the award-winning film director and producer. It's not video, film director and producer. Okay, so Mark, we were talking about some of those films. Obviously, we touched on Citation just now. Let me take you back to one of your other films before we talk about the new ones coming in. Accidental Spy.
Okay.
That film, I don't know, permit me to say, financially, we heard that that film was big time. Okay,
Yeah.
big time. And apart from making a lot of making winning awards, also, it made quite a lot of money. What was this? Well, I don't want to say what was the secret behind this because you already explained. Because you need to have a good script, you need to have the right cast, and blah 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 blah. I
Yeah.
wasn't actually a cast like that. I mean, you had a Ramsey Noah, you had all those people. Some people, I spoke to some directors before in the past,
Yeah.
and they would obviously say, "Ah, man, all those boys, this guy, actor, I needed to do this. Sometimes the actor will not arrive on time. This actress will not arrive on time. I have to call this actor. This, I'm on the road and I'm shouting, blah blah blah." How is it? How do you cope with? Again, permit me to use this word. Different egos. They are all already celebrities in their rights. They are superstars in their rights. How do you bring them under one umbrella and obviously do what you ask them to do?
Okay. For most of the cast that I've worked with, I think majority of them have been quite disciplined. Hence the reason why there's a lot of due diligence that goes into picking cast. But no matter how good you are at casting a cast that will not give you problem or issues on set, you would have one or two of those type of oddballs. But for Accidental Spy in particular, I think another thing is when you cast certain types of cast for certain types of film, they know if it's a heavy budget film, they know if it's a cinema film, they know if it's a Netflix film, they know if it's a YouTube film. And when you work with, permit me to say this, the likes of AY and Ramsey, you tell them call time is 8, they are there at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, they are there. You 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 don't get many people who are successful who do not put in the time. These are guys that they've put in the time into the industry. Um, you hear so many stories, and I think after the set of Accidental Spy, Ramsey became not just a professional colleague, but he's also a brother and a friend. He is very humble. AY is very humble, but the biggest challenge, I think, on that set was the fact that it was a film that was shot. A good 45% of it was shot in Nigeria, and the remaining 55% was shot here in UK. That was the biggest challenge for that. So flying cast from Nigeria, because we had the Oh My God, Ramsey and AY who flew in from Nigeria just to be on that set. And when you look at the amount spent when you shoot in two countries, that's why I said even Kunle when he did the citation, for him to have done it in 3 different countries, that escalates your budget to a colossal amount. And if you look at the quality of what has been churned out in Nollywood as an industry, the quality has improved year on year. I personally feel it's going to get better, and I think within now and the next 1 decade from now, I want to believe we should be strong enough and viable enough to not just be nominated for an Oscar, but potentially win an Oscar if we have the financial investment. Because I think one of the biggest challenges we face in Nollywood is financing our films. It's tough. It's never been easy to fund a film. So, to answer your question directly, I think shooting in 2 different countries, it's never going to be a cheap film. Yeah.
We're going to take a look at a trailer for also. That's another film of yours, which obviously is filled with stars, mega stars. If you've not watched this, guys, if you're watching this, if you have not watched also, go do it. Okay. It's filled with, you've got Dr. Kelechi of Arsenal there, Kunle Afolayan. Kelechi will always make it anyway. You got people there, all right? We're just going to show you a quick trailer, and when we come back, obviously we will talk to Mark about the film itself. If we're ready for the
I grew up knowing what it means to be rich or poor. Trust me, you don't ever want to be poor.
My head will be headache me. When it comes to money or business, you can talk figures.
Now I'm living the so-called Nigerian dream.
Idiomatic expression. If your word was alright. Get hold of yourself. Calm down.
Hustling my way to the top, knowing one day I would not need to hustle to earn a living.
I work my ass off. I put food on your table. Heck, I put food on their own tables too.
I do the work and all you guys do is to sit in the office and look pretty.
Lay down. Get your man,
Barely 2 weeks here and you were sleeping around.
You see, I grew up living my life until my father died. Things changed suddenly and I had nothing. I needed to survive, so the hustle began.
Always ready.
Spoiled brat. Very uncultured.
Very disrespectful.
I am the seed of this operation. So it's either you make me happy or not.
So you actually want me to planted that camera for me to find?
Did you freaking say us?
So this game officially just started.
Pull up me! Pull up me!
Give her a pistol right now.
It was the government! It was you!
Where am I supposed to get 10 million from?
Disrespect to me. No. And I don't play that game. I invented it.
I said go back up. Oh, Bieda. Eh?
I tell you, I saw a Marc Adebesin film. I'm already intimidated.
Not yet.
But I'm already intimidated. And that's going to be out soon, right? If
Yeah, it is. Apparently, it was supposed to have come out earlier this year, but unfortunately, because of COVID, we had chosen a date, and we were at the point of selling tickets, and COVID came and swept all of us off. So it's the dynamics of what's going to happen going forward. So at the moment, we only just submitted it to Netflix. Fingers crossed. I hope they like it and pick it off us. If things improve in Nigeria between now and June, we could still do a theatrical release in Nigeria because when it was created for cinema in Nigeria.
Okay, so by fire by force, Netflix will like it.
Amen.
Anyway, so that film is basically centered about the Nigerian dream. Okay, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Okay,
correct. Yes.
So, what did you, when you saw the script and you were going to produce it and obviously do all the stuff you were supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
What struck you most about it? Did you first think, I think this person is going to be that girl. I think this person is going to be that boy. Oh, what struck you?
Okay, in a nutshell, in the casting process, I think Nancy Sime was always my first choice for that because she has this, there's individuals who would walk into a room and they would have this certain kind of aura. She strikes me like that kind of person. She's the kind of individual who would step into a room, a conference place, and she would roll heads, so to speak. And I think for Gabriel Afolayan, He's a method actor, and I think he's a very deep actor. He is one of the best I've worked with. He's a fantastic, he's a brilliant actor. He, I would say, he went a bit over and beyond um, what was expected, and he, in my eyes, was the perfect fit for the lead character. Jim Ike. I think every individual has this special grace, and there's this grace that follows Jim. It was also a perfect fit for that role. I think out of everybody I work with and hustle, I think there's an individual I will always say is underrated, and that's Mr. Femi Branch Egbo. Is what I call him now. He's extremely underrated. He's phenomenal. I think I've worked with him back to back twice now. The last film I just finished directing, he was also. I was privileged to have worked with him again, and he did what he does best, to be honest, and I'm quite impressed. I think casting, the way I do my casting is I have an Excel sheet. I map out all the list of the actors' name in the film, all the character names in the film. So you could have 20 different people that need to be slots that need to be filled, and I have a column A, column B, and I cast everybody as A and B. So if A doesn't work, I've got a full functional plan, like the great Otto von Bismarck, the ex-German chancellor said. He said, and I quote, "For everything you do in life, always make sure you have a full functional plan B, otherwise you would fail." So I approached the first cast, and for one reason or the other, they are already engaged or they're not feeling the script. I've got somebody else I could always run to. So that's the strategy I always use. And I think for the case of Hustle, I don't think there was any cast that read the script that they didn't like it. I don't think there was any. I mean, when we finished cutting the film, it was about 2 hours, 15 minutes or 30 minutes or thereabout. So we had to cut it down to, I think, an hour, 57 minutes. Because it's always good when you don't let your film drag. You always, it has, like they say in Yoruba language, ba, ba, ba. So if it's not snappy, the audience, I mean, they need to be hooked in your first 10 minutes. So it's like when you go fishing, you throw your hook into the river, it needs to hook. You need to hook the audience in the first 10 minutes. If you can't hook your audience in the first 10 minutes, you would lose them straight. And once you've lost them, that's it. So that's the strategy I use in casting.
Well, we've got people already making comments already, looking forward to Hustle. You know, it's going to be in the theater soon, next year. We will obviously be keeping you updated. And we will obviously be in touch with Mark, and we'll be keeping you updated. Hopefully, Mark will be very generous, probably through a ticket or two. Okay, for anyone to win.
I won't get one free code.
But we see how that goes. Mark, apart from Hustle, there's another one, and I've been the first time I saw that that post on your Instagram page, I was like, God, which one be this again? St. James's.
St. James's.
And I've seen some mega actors, people like I used to look up to, the ZAFAA.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, what's Mark doing again? Well, tell us about St. James's. What's that all about?
Now, I think the first time the producer, Tosi Akitoko, called me up and she ran the story by me, I found it fascinating because it's a very unique story. It's not your typical Nollywood story. And one thing I love the most about St. James is the virtue of the fact that when the story was being developed, one thing wasn't holding the scriptwriter or the story owner back, and that's budget. If I'm writing a story, I watch from my budget. In St. James's, the producer gave the scriptwriter a free hand, like, write, enjoy. And that's exactly what St. James, the beauty of the story. It's a story that spans about 2 decades with some boys, that did some shady things in secondary school. You know how Filmbaz was back in the day. So fortunately for us now, I heard Filmbaz is now a boarding house.
Yes.
So, yeah, and I was quite shocked. Because before I came to Filmbaz, I went to Federal Government College Udogolo. So I had already spent a few years as a boarding student. So I understand what goes on in boarding house. It's always more. I mean, when you go to a boarding house, the bond you would have with your friends is tighter. Your friends know. When you grow up and you grow up with boys in a dormitory, you know the ones you can trust with money.
Definitely, yes.
You know the ones you can trust with your secrets, the one you can trust with your life. There's that bond. So I'm an old boy of 2 different secondary schools, and I see how they relate. It's a bit different. It's a bit different. St. James, I think, is a story that you would watch and you would learn a lot. You would learn a lot, not jumping into conclusions is one thing you would learn. Not judging a book by its cover, that's another thing you would learn. And not to assume, because assumption, they say, is the mother of all failures. It's a very deep story, and I was privileged to have worked with some legends like Zach Oji, Femi Branch, Deyemi Okola, Bolaji Ogumola, Rachel Oniga. She's another phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's a phenomenal actress. There was 1 or 2 things that happened on set, and I look back and I said, wow. In terms of how she reacted, when she goes into character, she goes, as in she really, really goes. And when a character gives you, when a cast gives you that, it's joy to see as a director. It's not just you prepping them and then they get on sets and you just expect magic to happen. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So I think it's something to look forward to. It's different. It's something you would come out and say, wow. It's not something you can come out and say, oh, we've seen X, Y, and Z, similar, like it's a copy and paste story. Because there are a lot of Nollywood stories out there that are copy and paste. Typical example, you're coming to America, we've shot that type of prince marrying the house girl in the house. We must have shot Coming to America back to back for our next generation to be satisfied. And we shot stories on love triangles with a girl, a guy, and 2 different people tussling for their love. We shot those to last another generation, to be candid. St. James is nothing like that. It's nothing like that. That's what I love about the film the most.
Mark, do you think Nigeria is ripe for an all-out action film like Die Hard, Equalizer? This Rambo-like character just come in. I probably want to protect a girl or children and just everywhere and everybody shouting. Hey, do you think so?
If you look at Merry Men 2, it had an element
of that, yeah. But like full blown, all true.
Yeah. Well, now I saw you mentioned Equalizer. I look at a film like John Wick. I saw John Wick 1. I loved it. John Wick 2 and 3 was all blood, and gunshots, almost from action to the very end. I didn't really, so it depends on the kind of audience you're trying to please. In terms of an action film, I think we're ripe for it. But the big question is, do we have the budget for it? That's the key question. Because when you shoot an action film like that, you need to be very mindful of costume. You need to be very mindful of special effects. And those things cost money. I mean, look at this lovely jumper you're wearing. If I should put 3 bullets in it in my next action film now, 3 holes has to be in there. We have to manufacture another 3. So we need to be very mindful of what the budget implication will be. It's always key to look at what your budget is first before you now start saying the type of film, at the moment, comedy is what works. No individual wants to invest their money in a film that is a 50-50, whether it's going to make the money back or not. I think we're ripe for that. And I also think piracy hasn't helped the industry in any way, shape, or form. It has robbed the growth of the industry tremendously. And I think with the birth of digital identity on media content, it's also helped curb piracy. And at the moment, I have 2 working DVDs in my house, but they are both somewhere in the house. They're not connected to the TV anymore. Nobody uses I don't use a DVD anymore. I don't know about other people, but it shows you that content is now becoming digitalized. Back in the days, I used to have a rack with, close to 600 DVD CDs, films, but now it's all on a cloud, or I watch it on demand on Netflix. So there's no point keeping, content unnecessarily. There's still a lot that needs to be done to the mindset, and I think to answer your question, I think we're ready, but I think budget is always going to be key. Without sustainable investment in the industry, we would end up shooting and not shooting it properly, if that makes sense. Netflix at the moment, they've invested a colossal amount. I don't know what the figures are, but I know they've invested and called up some directors, some producers to produce original Netflix content for them. And I think the reason is you've got Nigeria, who have a population of almost 200 million. You could buy a film like Rambo as a typical example. Netflix, I'm just going to use fictitious figure. Let's assume they paid $300,000 for Rambo. They put it on Netflix now, and you have 500,000 people watch it. Now, the way show, they produce a Nollywood film tomorrow morning and they sell it to Netflix. Netflix will say, "Oh, because it's Nollywood." Now, that's the so-called question mark. Because it's Nollywood, we'll just offer him $50,000. Now, that same $50,000 that they've invested in the way show's film, we had exactly 500,000 people also viewing that same content who are subscribers. So you now ask yourself, which angle, or should I say, which audience should we invest a bit more in faster? The black film industry, which is the Nollywood film industry. So their return on investment is going to be way more if they invest now. So they've thrown money into Nollywood, and I expect those films to start coming out next year. And I'm really looking forward to what the quality of the content will be, because I had some rumors that in the contractual agreement that they sent some of the cast, and these are contractual agreements that were created by not necessarily Netflix, but by producers of Netflix original content, that they must make sure that they get tested for COVID. They must bring their test to set and all that, which is a good thing. But if you're telling somebody to go and bring a test that will cost them 52,000 naira, then you must be paying them goddamn good money for for them appearing in that film. So the money is going to be pumped in. It's just a matter of time, and I think it will take a while. But if you look at the history of Hollywood, the beauty of what they had is they had people, or should I say, another type of industry that invested colossally in them. You've got drug cartel who invested, you've got money laundering who invested in them, and then you have your typical Niger, or should I say, individuals who look at the American dream because of the way they had made a typical American citizen look more patriotic than a Nigerian citizen. Now, the American government invested money in films like Pearl Harbor, as a typical example. Films like Rocky, The Patriots. These are films that the American government invested money so that the typical audience like yourself, myself, your typical American citizens, they watch those films, and the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, I want to become an American citizen. Oh, it's so great to become an American citizen. Now, that is one thing the Nigerian government is not doing enough for yet. You take your film to the Nigerian cinema now, you'll be forced to pay 10% entertainment tax to the government. That's a fact. So the Nigerian government also, they really need to, there's a whole lot they need to do. I remember back in the days, I think about a year and a half ago, someone like the information minister, Lai Mohammed, said music videos or African, I think he mentioned entertainment and put Nollywood and Afrobeat under the same umbrella, saying for that to be done, they need to be done in Nigeria. I'm like, he's on what planet is Lai Mohammed on? You know, I found that a bit condescending. So because I don't live in Nigeria, so I have to go to Nigeria every time I want to create content. No. If you look at take a film like Extraction, one of the best films in Netflix today, it was not shot in America. It wasn't shot in America. Yeah. So when you say we must do certain things in the country and it's not a law you've put into place that has gone through a House of Representatives or the Senate and they've signed it up. You just don't come on social media and, you know, especially just for the he holds. I don't expect someone like Lai Mohammed to be coming out and say things like that. There was a social media post a while back on somebody posting just the cap of Lai Mohammed, and the individual said, "Whenever I see this cap, all I remember now are lies." And the lies was spelled with the same surname as Lai Mohammed. And a lot of people made a comment about it. So we need to be very careful when we find ourselves in key positions and not try to dissuade people to go in one direction. We need to be mindful about what we say, how we say it, and in the context in which those things are said.
One thing, in rounding up now, one thing a lot of people do not also actually know about you is you're also a music director. You produce music videos.
Yes.
Why did you decide to branch into music? Are you someone?
I wouldn't want to use the word branch. Immediately I shot Tied Up, which was my first short film. I did Talking Dolls. Immediately after Talking Dolls, I shot two music videos back to back. Now you have to understand one thing about shooting a film and music video. Understanding concepts, framing, composition, your lighting, and what type of story are you telling with the music? Because it's just for you to take the music and visualize what the owner of the music wants, and then you make that happen. So you could come and say you want a montage for your show. You will tell me what you want. It's my job to be able to create it. As a creative entity, I should be able to create whatever it is you want to your requirement, to your specification, provided you have the money for it. There shouldn't be a limit to why am I doing music video? I mean, I could wake up tomorrow morning and say, I want to shoot a documentary on Nollywood as a subject. I'm going to end up, you know, getting a cameraman, or I'll shoot the thing myself. So it's pretty much the same principles, and you need to understand when I say principles, it's about your lighting, your framing, your composition, and what do you want to capture? What do you want the audience to see? Who is the content for? What's your target audience? So that's how I see it. So I wouldn't use the word branch. It's, for me, almost under the same umbrella, because you're giving out the narrative. The only disadvantage in music video is there's no dialogues per se on that set, because what you use is something that's already been recorded in the studio that you slap on the video to create your journey or your story. If that makes sense.
At the beginning of the show, Lani mentioned that you're a hard taskmaster. You think Nollywood. You spend hours on end every day to talk about Nollywood. How do you rewind? What do you do for fun?
That is fun for me. I think if you come to this world, I'll take a particular example. Typical Premiership footballers. I'll take people like Hazard, Mo Salah, Timo. I'm very confident if the world changes today, now that there's no audience in the stadium, you say, okay, guys, we need you guys to be packing bins to make the kind of money we make to pack bins. I can guarantee you 90% of those footballers, if you cut their wages to 5% what they earn today, they will still tell you they want to play football. So if you come into this world and you do what you love doing and you get paid for it, you've won. You are a winner. If you do what makes you happy, what gives you joy, gives you satisfaction, what keeps you fulfilled inside as an individual, you have won. This show, I don't know if this show makes money for you, but I can almost guarantee you, look on your face, even if you don't make money, you love, you'll be smiling. I mean, me right now, I want to go and eat. I'm hungry. So I'm forcing myself to smile, but you are smiling so when you say, how do I recoil? For people that know me very well, they will tell you, call Mark. If you WhatsApp him 4 a.m. and he's awake, he will reply you. Provided the topics about Nollywood, he will reply you. And for people, I mean, Lani is a typical example. She could WhatsApp me. She doesn't WhatsApp me at what odd hours, but if she WhatsApp me even during the office hours, I would reply because I love it. It's a passion, is something I love doing, and I think the only thing that could either stop me from doing this is death or extreme old age, and I can't move. Those are really two things in this world that can take me away from that. And I'm the reason why I'm trying to paint a mindset of a typical footballer is footballers love what they do, even if they are not being paid a dime for it. They would still want to play for the clubs they play for. So if you come to this world as an individual, an entity, and you are doing what you love, you wake up in the morning, you don't say, oh, it's Monday morning, Jerry, you're tired. That shows you that what you're doing it to put, because it's your meal ticket. You're trying to put food on the table. So it changes your paradigm, changes the way you look at life and what you do and how you do it. Two different things.
And I tell you, this is doing what I love. Is a passion. Okay, just
I think you answered your question.
Lani's already saying it now that it is true. It does not sleep, and I think I can be a testament to that, because sometimes I send you messages and I'm like, Mark, Alpha, blah blah, and obviously you always reply. I bet to testament to that. This man I'm talking to is a workaholic, and he loves what he's doing, and obviously we can only wish you the very best, Mark. I mean, Hustle is coming out. St. James's is coming out. You got quite a lot more in the pipeline. You're working on.
I've got two films, and I've got two films I need to shoot next year minimum. Lani is working on one of them, and there's another film with two friends of mine that we're also working on, and we're working on that tirelessly. Trying to tweak the story, trying to make it better. I think COVID in its way has had its own cons and its own pros. But we're just trying to make things better so that when the audience sees it, they appreciate the effort that has been put into it. And we're also trying me personally, I want to create something that would leave a lasting legacy for me as an individual on the surface of the earth.
Hopefully we get to feature on one of your films. So this my Nollywood career is not. It didn't start before, but I'm not too old though. What year might be here, but no year at all, sir.
We have to get a sponsor to carry you to Nigeria then.
No problems. I'll come and ask for you, definitely. Well, it's been lovely talking to you today, Mark. I mean, so thrilled talking to you. And thank you for joining us. Up Filmbars, up school. Everybody that have not been to Filmbars before, don't worry. Thank you so much, Mark. Wishing you all the very best. Have a very happy new year, and 2021 brings good fortune for us, especially you in the Nollywood industry. I will be looking forward to also. We'll be looking forward to St. James's. I'll be looking forward to the other ones too. Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And well, that's our show for today. For everyone that's made comments today, right from Lani to Sandra, ever present, Bumi Omaho, Doreen, Oladapo Molewa, and Sida Shane. everyone. Adini Kuku. Actually, a Fimberian too. Oh, up school to you. Thank you for joining us. Everyone has commented today. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry if I did not mention your name. I'm absolutely sorry. We ran out of time. I do hope you had a very nice Christmas, and I pray you have a better 2021. Next edition is going to be in 2021, and hopefully we'll be here to join and celebrate in the new year, and obviously with someone else coming on the show. Thank you. Also, special thanks to my co-producer and co-host of the show and the writer of the show, Yomi Omobreja, who is behind the scenes, making sure I can talk to you, you can hear me, you can see me, and obviously hear all our people who brought to the show since we started in May of this year. Hopefully next year we see each other next Sunday. That's it, next year. So do have a very wonderful week ahead, and please, in all you do, stay safe. Please be safe. Thank you for watching. Have a nice night. Bye.